Attention! Every penny generated on this channel will be transformed into hope and smiles for underprivileged children. Each view, each click, each share will become a ray of light in their lives. Together, we can make a difference. Feel the power of generosity as you watch the video, knowing that you are directly contributing to a brighter future.
On this Tuesday, European stocks remained stable due to the lack of new medical data and global rate considerations, which made investors cautious. The Pan-European Stoxx 600 index had a slight increase of 0.1% at the close, with little changes throughout the day. The slowdown in economic growth in the U.S. and the Eurozone concerns central bankers, raising doubts about future global monetary policy measures. Miners experienced a 0.4% decline due to concerns about China's demand following economic slowdown data. On the other hand, the travel and leisure sector grew, driven by positive traffic numbers from Ryanair, while real estate stocks rose by 2.7% and healthcare stocks recovered after previous declines. Oil prices rose by 2% due to supply cuts made by Saudi Arabia and Russia. These measures aim to balance the market and support oil prices. Despite concerns about the global economy, investors are optimistic about the positive impact of these actions. With a combined reduction of 5 million barrels per day, oil prices are expected to continue to rise. The debate about whether Bitcoin can replace the US dollar has been widely discussed. There are 4 arguments in favor of this substitution: Bitcoin's decentralization, its limited supply, growing global acceptance, and advanced security features. However, there are also 4 arguments against this substitution: Bitcoin's volatility, lack of regulation, limited acceptance, and government intervention. In the end, only time will tell if Bitcoin will have the capacity to replace the dollar as the main global reserve currency, but it would require massive adoption and overcoming various regulatory and acceptance obstacles. The Reserve Bank of Australia decided to keep interest rates unchanged to assess the impact of previous rate increases better. However, they also warned that they might need to raise rates again to control inflation. Many economists believe there could be an increase in August. The Australian dollar initially declined but later recovered after the news. The central bank is concerned about the economy and aims to find a better balance. The head of the central bank may be reappointed for another term. The United States is seeking guarantees of labor rights in Mexico as more companies transfer jobs to the neighboring country. Nearshoring, which involves production near the American market, is driving employment in Mexico. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, in effect since 2020, has stricter labor rules and aims to protect Mexican workers. Mexico has made progress in improving labor processes and facilitating union organization, but there is still work to be done. Some companies face complaints related to labor rights, and it is expected that Mexico will strengthen its labor institutions to prevent unfair practices. Banks in the United Kingdom are being questioned by lawmakers for offering savings rates to customers. The Treasury Committee of Parliament has sent letters to the country's major banks, inquiring about the fairness of the rates and whether they are exploiting customers who do not switch accounts. Banks are being criticized for not passing on increases in interest rates from the Bank of England to savers. The committee argues that banks should raise their savings rates to help customers amidst rising prices. Banks claim that they regularly review their rates and encourage customers to choose products that meet their needs. The financial regulator is also investigating the situation to protect consumers. Turkey has pledged to maintain a tight and tense policy until the outlook for inflation improves. The central bank raised its interest rates at a recent meeting and stated that it would continue taking aggressive measures to combat inflation. The country is undergoing a shift in its economic policy, adopting a more conventional approach after years of interest rate cuts, despite rising inflation. The central bank is seeking to curb inflation and stabilize the lira, while the bank's foreign reserves have seen a significant increase. The government is also reassessing a program that guarantees lira-denominated deposit accounts to prevent currency depreciation. The goal is to improve the outlook and achieve the established tolerance target.